Have you really done San Francisco?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
I've done most of
America.
The world, I've done most of it.
All right,
I've done Russia back when it was legal to gig there.
Would you do it now?
Would I do it now?
Like, if you got an offer now and it was like, right, we'll give you 10% more of the door than last time.
Not now. Not now.
10% more of the door?
If any Russians watching, I'll do it.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Do you think my moral compass can be swayed by 10% of the fee I already get?
What about all of your merch?
I'm glad I did Russia then, because my opinion of Russia was very much like, oh, it's the bad guys from all the American movies, and like they're fucking weird and they're backwards and they're part of the West, but they're not like really. And then you get there and you end up gigging to like, I'm not gigging to the Russian people. I'm gigging to the Russian people that can illegally download my fucking specials. Right. So wherever I am in the world, I'm getting the fucking liberals of the area. So in my head, I'm like, Russia's dead liberal. I met 3,500 of them. They're lovely. They're friendly. They're real pro-gay rights. And I think all of those 3,500 are dead now.
They tried to protest the war in Ukraine recently.
And that's why I wouldn't gig there again. Because my audience is, they are wiped out.
Yeah, but don't you think this is the problem when you get to a certain level of as a comic, you just start performing to your people, maybe going to Russia and trying to win over, the anti-gay Russian soldiers. Yeah. That would be a true test of your next tour. To know that it definitely
do some
works.
work in progress in the Kremlin. Let's box it.
But do you want to win over the homophobes? Because surely they're like, he makes a good point. And you wait, have I converted them, or have they converted me? Fuck. Have I accidentally?
You take that tour show that worked in the Kremlin to Brighton. And if it works there as well, you're a...
Then I'm finally global.
This is the guy who had to take references out for the Isle of Man on Tuesday. But in his head, he's like, Brighton and fucking, Moscow should be the same. Should be all right.
No, but if you can make them the same, then you're on to a win an hour. You know what I mean?
I like it.
Going to have mass appeal across many demographics.
Why was San Francisco like your
I don't
thing
know.
of success?
Just because,
like not New York.
Because you're someone that I've gigged with and I know, and it's San Francisco. Listen, you're here. You're talking to us, Bella.
You're in a cupboard in Runcorn.
It's all relative, but like I watched Eddie Izzard's special from San Francisco when I was starting. Before I started stand up, like San Francisco just feels like so unreal, but it's of course it's real. No, but if you've done Conan 87 times and you're like well known and you've got Netflix specials up, of course San Francisco is great for sales. To me, it's great.
Well, that'd be the mark of you making it. If we ever do a Have a Word live show in San Francisco.
Well, podcast-wise, that is what it feels like turning up here. Like, my podcast that I've been doing for way longer than this is now just in, like, the shed I built in my back garden. And, like, we don't put much effort into it because I'm so unbelievably lazy. And because I get to tour, I'm like, I'm not putting any fucking effort in. Kai's the one that puts the effort into our podcast, which is why it's slowly getting better. Whereas we come down here and we're like, oh, right, okay, so there is a way to do it. We'll just slowly eke our way to that.
Do you know, since we've done what we've done in the last 2 years, which has been pretty impressive, there's three types of podcasts. There's a podcast that existed before and pretty much don't like us and aren't going to change. That's absolutely cool. Then there's all the podcasts that look just like this one that sort of started... They're similar, aren't they?
The American style.
I think to call them knockoffs is a little bit unfair. But there's a lot of ones that go going, well, that seems familiar. And then there's also the pods that existed before that have gone, oh, hang on. Well, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Like Two Vegan Idiots now looks different since the pandemic and since, and you guys are you filming it now and you're putting...
Well, we are. So basically, I had a shed, but I had a shed in my back garden, which we then converted into a sound studio because I had to do the audiobook during the pandemic. Like,
have you been to his house, by the way? He's got his own lake.
Oh,
I don't have a lake. I have a river that runs through my garden.
Well, my garden floods, so...
The first day we moved into our place is just on the outskirts of Edinburgh, but it's a very idyllic place. I couldn't believe I got to move there. And I was like, these places are always shite eventually. Like, you work out why why I get to live there and, why the area is so nice. And then we were looking out the window, and a baby deer and its mum just ran through the garden, drank from our river, and then left. And I was like, oh, okay. I live in a Snow White. I live in Snow White's world. That's where I am right now.
I was expecting some fucking schemy smackhead. Then you're like, oh no.
Look, I
just Bambi and shit. Like
no. But I'm now at the place where if I see anyone outside of my house who looks like me growing up, I'll phone the police.
Oh, you bad snitch.
I've not done it yet, but I've certainly seen some youths outside my house, and I'm like, if I had a dog, you'd have no ankle. So I'm just telling you fucking straight up.
You can't phone the busies.
I wouldn't.
They could be future dealers.
Yeah, and also the amount of grass I've got in my house, I'm not phoning anyone.
Threat.
Can you come to my house but stay outside, please, officer?
Can you come and can you hold your nose the entire time you're there?
Let me know when you're at the gate, the first gate.
Yeah. Can you pick up a pizza on the way as well? Like, you're gonna meet the Domino's guy in the fucking driveway. Can you just bring it up to the door?
So beyond the Babbling Brook, you and Kai Humphries are doing your pod in a shed.
In a nice shed we don't have the back.
It's not a fucking shed, by the way. Shed puts a certain picture. It makes your garden office look like a shed.
Yeah. Oh Jesus!
It's a treehouse.
Yeah. Oh no, the treehouse is outside of it, but that's not.
I got a little bit of that San Francisco money.
It's the Russian oligarch.
Oh
money.
yeah, it is.
That's why I hate this
Then you
war.
will like your comedy. You can play for 4 or 5 of us. You go back with 2.3 billion. You just wash blood off the money. It's okay. Yeah. It's fine.
That's why we wash it off diamonds. It's much easier to wash that.
How was getting in Russia? Come on, give us. It's not like I'm going to get to ask this to a lot of our mates
ever again since you know.
Yeah.
It was really interesting because like we were on tour in general, and it was during a really bad bit of the tour where we were going literally from Lincoln to Tokyo to Singapore to Kuala Lumpur to Australia to Iceland to Russia in the space of.
Lincoln's a bit of a sore thumb in that list, isn't it?
Right. I fucking screamed at fucking Live Nation, right, and I shouldn't have done it, and I really like what they've done. They're my touring company. I love them. I'll work with them forever. But I was like, with a straight face, every single one of you wrote a tour list that went Sydney, Melbourne, Tokyo, Singapore, San Francisco, Munich, Leeds, Lincoln, Paisley. Fuck off! I'm not going to these places anymore. I'll go there on the downside, at the other side of this fucking arc. That's when I'll go back to those places. Until then, stop sending me to shitholes.
I'll go there when the deer's being shot.
So when we're in Vienna, this is the show I did X, which was about sexual assault and toxic masculinity, and towards the end of the show, it was obviously a tense moment, but the Kremlin, Russia, sent out their own translator, right? Because the show, Russians do understand English, but we were going to give half the audience the option to, if they wanted a translator, to have it in their ear. So they sent the translator earlier on. Yeah, already awful.
Can we just, when you say to have a translator in their ear, do you mean there was one translator and he was broadcasting to their ears, or they each got their own individual translator whispering the jokes to them?
No. That would have been way more expensive. That would have been... first of all, it would have doubled my audience. One translator who was up in a box, but he'd come to see the show in Austria, for the 2 days before, he says, so he could work out what the material was and work out how to translate it. I had a lot of pro-gay stuff in that show, and the Russian government was very much like, you can't do that material in Russia. And I'm like, I'm a comedian, we don't get censored, and there's literally nothing you can do to censor me apart from kill me and have me disappear, in which case, let's play again.
We're not there yet.
Yeah. And I figured you're not gonna go after a shitty comedian just occasionally being like, I think the gays are cool. That's not who you're cracking down on. But
it's a fire bit, by the way.
And that's as far as I go. That's as far as my progression is. I think the gays are all right, y'all. He comes to the show, and we are 100% convinced he's just from the Kremlin. Like, he's a fucking spy, and he's there to watch the material and to find out what goes against, like, the Russian message. And he's talking to us, and he's dead educated. Of course he is. He speaks, like, 7 languages, English and Russian are 2 of them. Like, he finds Kai Humphreys fascinating because he can't imagine that smaller brain space. Like, and we're all just... and we go there, and the gig is weird because you have the first initial fucking laugh, right? One of the most important things about comedy is timing. You get that first laugh as the people who are fluent enough in English to get your thing. And then, because Russian words are 90% longer than all English words, you have to wait 10 seconds for a second laugh, which is the rest of them being told the fucking joke.
Oh my God. And they've already got little they've got little earpieces like they're at the
the
UN.
audience have little earpieces and half the audience don't.
2 little earpieces.
That's so weird.
And the weird thing was, like, the controversial bit of
and he's not doing the gay stuff. He's when you're doing the gay stuff, he's like, Vladimir Putin is a wonderful leader. He's excellent and very strong horse rider. There's a laugh, and then everyone's like,
wait,
yes, Sloss is very weird about Putin. He's very pro Putin.
while I'm doing pro gay stuff.
Yeah, you're like miming out, getting fingered. He's like, yeah, he can Putin
swinging a rainbow banner around.
Yeah.
Putin
And they're
loves
like,
his horses.
Putin makes rainbows with his mercy. Weird.
Is it the same cadence though, like intonation of the? How
I
does that work?
No, absolutely not. Like, I think even the way the language is different. Like, the letters are different. The way they create words together are different. Which is why I couldn't believe that this guy's job was to translate. And then I had to wank on the bus into, like, one of the most complex languages.
I think you might be one of the only people in the world that when Russia, like.
I think the gays are cool. And then I had a wank on the bus. It was full of them. And I'm like, yeah.
This is not doing justice to Sloss's material, by the way.
I haven't done a wank joke for so long.
They loved it. They loved it in San Francisco. They're like, oh my God, it's so good. You must be one of the few people that when Russia invaded Ukraine and became the international bad guys that they've always really been. You must have been like, oh, thank fuck, I don't have to gig there again. What? This sounds like way too much bullshit.
Yeah,
just for a gig.
But it's one of those things where at the time it felt exciting because you'd heard all these things about Russia, you know, from fucking James Bond movies and the media and everything, like, oh, the bad guys. And then you go there and you meet the people that actually live there who were like, man, we know he's a fucking cunt. We know they're all cunts. But what do you want us to do when the biggest cunt with the entire army wants us to shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
And, like, speaking to them is really, they've just learned to live their lives. They're like, man, I don't know if you know much about Russian history, but we've tried and tried. There have been loads of revolutions and none of them have gone well.
Shout out to those few thousand people that protested the war in Ukraine that went to that school, because that's fucking ballsy. And I don't know if they've had a pride in Russia, but shout out those gay guys that tried to get that one going. Like, come on, Yevgeny, we're doing it. We're very proud. That's like, I'm not saying like pride in Manchester's not bold, but pride in Moscow is a next level of like.
It's to literally put your, well, I mean, because your life's being brought into question. It is putting your life on the line, not just for your beliefs, but to be like, I am a fucking human being, and you know, it's I'm gutted. That I am gutted in a way that I won't get to gig in Russia again, because I don't gig for the bastards in Russia. You gig for the good people who are underneath the shyness of it. It's like the amount of times people come up to me as well. They're going, "Would you ever do a gig in Israel?" And my answer is always the same: 100%. If the day after I did a gig in Palestine, because I'm not going to learn what's going on there. I can't be bothered, and everyone gets angry about it. So it's just a big mine in the middle, probably a poor choice of words. It's a big mine in a minefield, and I'm like, not touching it, not going anywhere near it. But I understand that there's audiences there who aren't anything to do with the entire clusterfuck, and those are the people I want. I want to play to the people, the humans.
He's just got a good sense of humor and got Netflix.
Aye. Yeah, those ones. And to be fair, I don't know how many of their... No, I think there's quite a few. The one thing I've learned about traveling is comedy is absolutely 100% universal. Like the things we laugh at here. There's more differences between audiences in the day of the week than there are between Russian and Australian audiences.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, like and local terms, and the accents can obviously be a bit hard.
And obviously York is a shithole and they don't get anything.
Yeah. Or it's what? Because you're both touring now. Is there any places on your blacklist?
York and Lancaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lancaster is...
Are you still not over the War of the Roses? You're still upset about that people died?
It's the same as the Israel-Palestine thing. I'll do them back to back.
Just play Skipton. It's like the Gaza Strip.
I'm just not picking a side.
No, I'm not.
Lancaster has got that little tiny gig in the pub every Sunday, and that's the only one I've ever done, and I hate it. And it's
the Borough.
The Borough, yeah. It's ran by a comedy promoter who books a lot of gigs in the Northwest, and he sort of is like, you've got to do this for me if you want to do me other gigs. So you have to do it like a couple of times a year. And I did it a few years ago with Jamie Sutherland comparing, Gary Delaney, Alan Cochrane, and me, and we all died. And that is not our fault. Like, that lineup, it is not possible for everyone to die and it be all the comics' fault. And York, I've hated for a long time, and we've covered it several times on this podcast, because it is a place where joy disappears. It's just not, they don't like laughing. They don't like anything. They just want to go out because they're sick of their fucking ugly husbands and wives and their fucking miserable children and everything else about their shitty lives.
I'll be on tour there in 2023. Looking forward to it. Also playing the Pocklington Arts.
I really like the York people who've sold out 3 Leeds dates for me because I refuse to go to York. Leeds is flying.
Yeah, it's all the ugly cunts from York going, right, we'll get train.
Literally, about half of the people who sent me photos after Leeds were like, why won't you come to York? And I was like, because you will come here.
Yeah.